When you can play Diablo 4 in around 70 FPS on a high-end Mac in 1440p using beta Apple software that is made for developers to test their games, it says something. And the question, are Macs going to be gaming computers now? It's a valid one. First of all, just let's get it out of the way. If the main thing you do on your computer is gaming, you should get a Windows PC, not a Mac. A PC will be a lot cheaper and you can customize it exactly as you want. With a Mac you get what Apple wants, that's it. You can't do much after that. It's a done deal if you buy a Apple product. If Mac is your main computer and you want to play some games, interesting things are happening now, and already some big games are here and more are coming to the Mac platform. Just some examples: you have Path of Exile, you have Resident Evil Village, Return to Monkey Island, Stanley Parable, World of Warcraft, Divinity, Original Sin, Civilization. I mean, all of these are native games that work just right out of the box without any tweaking. You can just buy them and install them, and it's supported on even the new M1 or M2 Macs, the ARM Macs. We also have upcoming games like No Man's Sky, Baldur's Gate 3, and more. Personally, I use both Mac and PC, and I have always been somewhat undecided on what system to make my main system. Music production and video editing are the main things I do, and that is something a Mac tackles, even an entry-level one, without any issues at all. At least it makes YouTube content switching between systems all the time. But since I occasionally do game, I still like to have my PC around, and I mean, I like tinkering with it as well, and I have been building PCs since I was 15 years old, and I haven't really stopped not liking it. Actually, in fact, I'm looking at a new PC build later on, but it's so expensive, so we just have to see. Since technology is getting so expensive these days, having both a PC and a Mac is not viable for most people. So that is why I wanted to make this video, because what Apple is doing now is pretty cool, and I think a lot of people that watch my channel also use Apple products. If you haven't seen my video about running Diablo 4 on the Mac, it will show up at the end of this video. So if you didn't know, Diablo 4 have no Mac client. It's just a game made for Windows. In the past, Blizzard always made Mac clients of their games, but not anymore. But in my Diablo 4 video you can find on my channel, we can see that I am running it on Mac OS with a 1440p connected display running at 144 Hz. It's connected directly to a MacBook Pro M2 Max, and it's running at about 75 FPS, which I have capped in the game client itself. I don't have any screenshots on the quality settings, but basically all of the quality settings there are at medium, and it's running pretty great even when there is some action going on there. Why is this so impressive? Well, the thing is, Apple made a software package for developers, so people who code and make games. It's not really for you and me, but we can use it if we want to. And honestly, Apple knew that this was going to happen. I'm sure they knew that people were going to tinker with it. So this software is called Game Porting Toolkit, and what it does is that it provides an emulation environment to run existing unmodified Windows games on the Mac, so that developers can see how their Windows games are going to be running on a Mac. And that is what I'm doing here with this Diablo 4 video. Apple also recently updated Game Porting Toolkit, and the last update actually increased frame rates in some games. On an M2 Mac, Cyberpunk 2077 did almost run at double the frame rate under the new version of Game Porting Toolkit. So to say that Apple isn't serious about gaming looks wrong in my opinion, at least now. So what is the future of Mac gaming? If you are a gamer or interested in games, Is it wise to use a Mac as your single computer? That I think a lot of people have that question. I'll try to answer it. So what we can see that is Apple clearly wants more developers to release games for the Mac platform. If you were Apple, obviously you want more people using it, right? And that is why they have made this tool to save time for developers and perhaps in the future make it so that they can release more real native games for the Mac, because everything costs money, and as we all know, time costs money and development time also costs money. And I guess that if you are a studio executive and you see that, okay, our Mac installed user base are giving us this in return, it's not worth it. But now that could change. I don't know, but perhaps. So if the developers use this kit and release native games, the performance compared to what you see on the game developer toolkit and the real native games will be likely be higher if developers use this tool and release it natively for the ARM CPU. So if you are like me, you occasionally like to game, but you have to choose between Apple or Windows. I think the future for gaming on the Mac haven't looked as bright as it does today, especially if you're an occasional gamer and perhaps you don't really care about squeezing the last drop of FPS out of the game. In addition to this, I predict that the new upcoming CPUs from Apple with a new production process, which you can see in this video, will deliver even more performance and make it even more possible to run pretty high and demanding games on the Mac platform. I mean, if you just look at YouTube, if you see other people running games, they are already running pretty high and demanding AAA titles in emulated mode on Macs already. So in the future, it's just probably going to be better. As for today, if you are okay with fiddling with some settings, learning some terminal commands, reading instructions, you can actually start trying this yourself today with Windows games. But if you buy already native Mac games, well, then there is no problem, is there? I will leave some useful links in the description under this video. Check them out if you want to explore this topic further, and thank you for watching.